Greetings, this is Amy Wentley with Chai Knuckles Knitting, and this is episode 2019-5, Methods for Working Cables. This is going to be a series of videos, and this is part 1. There are 4 different methods I'm going to show for working cables. One is using a cable needle and knitting off the cable needle. The second is using a cable needle and transferring to the left needle. The third is using a cable needle and swapping stitches. And the last is working cables without a cable needle. So this is part 1, using a cable needle and knitting off the cable needle. This is the way you probably learn to do cables if you've learned to do cables. It's the pretty much standard traditional way of doing things. So I have my piece of knitting here, and I have a few stitches to work before I get to my cable. In this case, I've got 5 purl stitches that I need to do before I get there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there we go. All right, and now I see my symbol for this cable. This is going to be a 3-3 left twist. So the instructions very simply say, slip 3 stitches to the cable needle and hold in front. So I'm going to do that, slip 3 stitches to the cable needle, and I will hold in front. That's in the front. And then it says to purl 3 stitches from the left hand needle. So I'm going to do that. 1, 2, 3. And then it says to knit 3 stitches from the cable needle. So I'm going to take my cable needle and I am going to position it so that I can knit off the cable needle. 1, 2, 3. And that is how to do that simply. That is a cable stitch, a 3/3 left twist. Now, there is a problem with cables and even with ribbing, where if you have a final knit stitch before a purl stitch, this final knit stitch can look sloppy. So a way to get around doing that is when you're going from a knit stitch to a purl stitch, either in ribbing or after cabling like this, go ahead and bring your yarn to the front and purl that first stitch, but instead of wrapping over the needle, you're going to want to wrap under the needle in the opposite direction. What this means, however, and this is only on the right side, only do this on the right side. You don't have to do this on the wrong side. But what that means is you just actually twisted this stitch. So when you get to the other side of your work, you're going to have to untwist that stitch, and I'll show you how to do that. And I'm going to continue to work 4 more purl stitches here, and I'm going to come up on another cable that I have to work. So this second cable is going to be a 3/3 right twist. So the instructions there say slip 3 stitches to the cable needle and hold in the back. So I'm slipping those 3 and I'm going to hold them in the back. You see those are purl stitches back there. Okay, and then it says knit 3 stitches from my left needle. I'm going to do that. Whoops, have to take my yarn in the back, knit those 3 stitches. Now, one of the reasons this isn't my preferred method of doing cables is because in order to work the stitches off the cable needle, and in this case, I am going to purl these 3 stitches off the cable needle, purl 3 stitches. You really are stretching the stitches back there to get them off the cable needle to be able to work them. You're moving the stitches around a lot, you're stretching them. I want to mention too here, you are going from a knit stitch to a purl stitch. So in this case, you're going to want to wrap this first purl stitch backwards. You're going to untwist it on the back again and then purl the other 2 stitches. So I'm not real happy with stretching my stitches that much. And so I prefer another method, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm going to go ahead, put my cable needle down. Some people stick it behind their ears or in their hair or just someplace easy to get to. So I'm going to finish my row of pearls here. And excuse me, I do knit both English and continental, primarily continental, but I may switch back and forth occasionally. So just so you know, I hope you're not confused. So now you're on the back, and these are knit stitches. 3, 4, and these are the 3 stitches that were the pearls from my cable. 1, 2, and I get to that one that I wrapped backwards. It is mounted on my needle backwards. It's twisted. If I were gonna go and knit this in the front, that stitch would be twisted, but I want to untwist that. And so in this case, on this one particular stitch, I'm going to knit it through the back loop to untwist it on this side. Remember, that was the one I wrapped opposite on the front. So on the back, I need to untwist it. And the way I do that is I knit into the back. And so these are my 3 knit stitches from my cable. And the next ones, these were the 5 pearls. I'm now knitting them on the back side that were between my cables. And then when I get to that last pearl, that's twisted. I wrap that backwards. And so now I have to untwist that stitch. And the way I do that is I knit into the back and it's untwisted. So that's using a cable needle and knitting off the cable needle. So I'm going to end this video, part 1 of this video now, and look for part 2 to find out the next method for knitting cables. Thank you.